On today's episode of Double the Hustle podcast, we're going to talk about embracing the positive things in your life and shedding the negative things. Today, we will be talking about how you do a life audit. When was the last time you really stepped back and looked at your life, was able to reflect on what you were doing good and what maybe wasn't treating you so well, and was able to get to the next level using a life audit? Come on, let's go. All right, so on today's podcast, we're going to talk about embracing the positives and shedding the negatives, and how, in general, we do a life audit, because I think it's very beneficial, especially when you're stuck, you feel stuck, and you're trying to get to the next level. Yeah, I think that it's very important for people to do a life audit, even if you're not stuck, even if just to, stop for a second. And if you're gaining so much success, just stay grounded, even if you are. No, it doesn't have to be that you're stuck or you're in a bad place. Yeah, that's obviously what everybody uses it for, when they're feeling stuck. But I think that it's also important to stay grounded. And doing a life audit could be simple. It doesn't have to be hard. It could mean journaling every day and just figuring out, making things clear in your head. But more importantly, it is a reflection of looking in the mirror. Most oftentimes I feel like the number one person that you are with every day is yourself. Yet when was the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, today's going to be a great day, and talk to yourself? We never talk to ourselves, yet we're talking to ourselves in our brain every day. We're constantly having thoughts. And I just think that it's really important to take a step back, look at where you are, where you're going, and, assess, align yourself. That will, be strategic, and you'll be able to get there. Yeah, I see a lot of people do like self-audits, maybe when they're ending a relationship, things like, or maybe they're unclear of like where to go, where they want to take. Yeah. I saw someone the other day doing like a self-audit. It was on like social media. She had just like ended a relationship, and she kind of like refurnished and her whole apartment, switched everything around because she needed something new, something different to kind of move on. Yeah. So what does a life audit look like? Let's go through that. For some people who may not even know, it's going to be different for everybody, and it's going to be, more complex for people who may feel that they need to entirely change their whole life, or somebody who just wants a new routine. Yeah. So as far as a life audit, at least to me, it means self-reflecting. Maybe that's journaling to get mental clarity. Mm-hmm. Maybe changing space. I feel like that's a very good way. I didn't actually think about that, but when you just reminded me, that's a really good thing to like change, whether that's just your work environment. Yeah, whether that's your work environment, your bedroom, your living room. You're so excited, like when you change like your room, you're like so excited that you have like something new. It looks, brand new, clean, fresh. Yeah. So in the mind, that like thinking back, like if I need to reset, like that's a great idea. Yeah. So reflection, changing of space, maybe setting new goals that are achievable, mm-hmm. and aligning yourself with those goals, setting routines. Manifesting a little bit, yeah. Yeah, manifesting, setting routines that help you get to that goal, because without routines, you're never going to achieve, those bigger goals that you want to achieve, obviously. Yeah. Maybe even for shedding the negative things, like people, like think about who you're around all day. If someone has a negative attitude and you're around them all the time, you step away from them for a few days, or try to distance yourself a little bit to see how that helps you, because if you have negative energy around you, you're probably not going to be positive. Yeah, I feel like that's the most important thing, like I think Gary Vee said that the other day. Like, 80% 80% of it is probably taking out the negativity. Right. The other 20% is reflecting on yourself and what you're doing, but that if you're around that negative, it will consume 80% of what you're doing and what your days look like. So I think that is extremely important for self-reflecting, is looking at that negative. I heard, whether that's what you're looking at on social media, what you're watching, who you're following, to go down. Some people even go down their following list and remove people that they don't think has any impact on their life. And some people may say, wait, that's going too far. I also think that
deep
audit, I think that it comes to a point, like, obviously, like, maybe your family member's negative. Should you go on social media and unfollow them? Gary Vee is probably going to say, yeah, you should unfollow them. Right. But at the end of the day, are you really going to unfollow your family member? Yeah, maybe because they're negative. Maybe just distance yourself a little bit. But I also do think that instead of going through your following and deleting the negative off of social media, the more you consume better things on there, the more they show up because of the algorithm. So if you're consuming better things, it's going to show up more. And also set a time limit for social media. So you're not on there as much. That means you're not consuming half the amount you're consuming. So on my social media, it pops up every day once I've spent an hour on there. And yes, you can ignore, you see it all the time and you're like, wow, that's crazy. Like, just an hour a day. But to be honest, I don't really spend that much time on it. It pops up at night mostly around 10 o'clock. So that means that I'm in my range of, and you can press ignore or you can press give me 5 more minutes or give me 10 more minutes. Yeah.
I didn't know.
So, but I do think that that's important too. Maybe scaling back on the amount that you're consuming. Start creating instead of consuming, It's a better way of looking at it and it's a different perspective. Change that perspective from, I can't to I will. Yeah. If that makes sense. I definitely agree. What are some other ways, like shedding the negativity? Unfollowing social media, distancing yourself. Yeah, and just focusing on yourself. Yeah. Inner work will help you shed that negativity. I think going to the gym will help, shed that negativity and also be around better people. Create, you are, what do they say? You are the 5th person of the 4 people that you hang around. So if you hang around people that want to go to the gym, you'll be that 5th person that wants to go to the gym. So it's all about creating that environment for yourself because there's going to be days where you don't want to go to the gym. But those people that you're around will be there to be like, hey, I'm going to the gym. You want to go? And now it's like, oh, I should probably go to the gym. So it's about also creating. That brings us to like a good point. Because us as twins have that kind of already built in. Yeah. Our bond, whether you drag me to the gym or I drag you to the gym, because if the other one's going, we're probably going to go too because we don't want to feel... It's not that, like you're doing less. Yeah. Yeah. That's not like in a harsh way. I know that seems very harsh, like you're doing less, but it's that competitive. Yeah. Like as a twin, I'm sure if any other twins are out there, let us know how your bond is, but that's how our bond is. Like if you do something, I'm going to want to do that or do some sort of activity, exercise, whatever, because I don't want to feel like I did less. But that's a good point to being a twin. It's going to drag you everywhere you don't want to go and you do want to. Yeah. Maybe that's a great like self-audit. Yeah, I think already. Yeah, it does. Like you said, it drags you to do more. Yeah, because things you want to do and things you don't. Things you don't want to do. Yeah. Being the most, maybe when you have motivation and I don't, it sheds, light on that. And it's like, oh, well, I should go because it's just something that I should do, even though I don't want to do it. You still should do it. So I think that's a way that we have it that other people don't get to. But that's also align yourself with the right people and you can get access to that. Right. It's not that anybody else can't benefit from it because you can benefit from it. You just have to create that circle around you. Create a small table that you want. Not everybody can eat at. Exactly. It's just you and the people that build you up and build confidence in you and get you going. So I think that doing this life audit will really set you up to move to the next level. Like we were talking with Jasmine, she said, when you're around better people, it makes you do better things. And the more you do that, that's just how you level up quicker in life, by meeting new people, by collaborating, by using these things. It's okay to use people to collaborate with to get different places. There's this connotation around using people, but
you're using people in a good way.
Yeah, you're
not
networking with them.
using them
Yeah.
to put them down and get to a higher place. You're using them to be able to, you know, gain their network as
new
well
audiences,
and get a new audience and level up your business and give value to people who maybe don't see your content all the time. So I think that that is one of the biggest ways to, you know, move, like level up in a self audit. But there's also ways like what the negativity, like when do you need a life audit? What does that look like, you know?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it might be like, obviously, like I said before, like ending a relationship, stuck. Some people come out of high school and they're like, I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
Or in college and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. So like, and those things are like scary for people because
it's your life.
As a person, you want to be on a track that like just keep moving. And when you branch off to the side and you're like, or you stop and you slow down and you're like, I don't really like this anymore. I thought I wanted to do this. I don't. Some people get depressed or get anxious, you know, and are very, I guess they kind of go inside their shell. Like
it's like coming to a crossroad. Like, where do you go?
Yeah.
You know,
so,
and that's scary to people.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I think at that point, like doing life audits then, and even you can do a life audit whenever you probably want. Like if you feel as a person, you're kind of like, I haven't been doing that many deals, or I haven't been reaching
my goals.
The goals that you want to, you know, the goals that you want to do. Maybe on you know, the end of the week, you start a life audit. And
I think, it's not, I think every quarter you should do.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
A life audit. Or maybe when the seasons are changing, you know, you could keep it up like with that. Just to create some sort of like, you know, timeline for yourself. But I think that it's really good to do a life audit, even if you don't need it. Like we were talking about before, sometimes you don't even know that you need it. You don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be, yes, of course, these are the most important things for people to do when you're feeling stuck. Mm-hmm. But there's so many people who are stuck who don't even know they're stuck.
Right.
And you look at them and they don't even know they're stuck. Yeah. So,
or they just don't realize that they can do so much
more.
Yeah, because maybe they're fine with how they're doing, but they can reach another level that they don't know.
Yeah, that's true. So I think that, you know, using this strategy to help you will enable you to gain new levels, reset, look at your life, see how it's going and where you want to go. Setting new goals, setting habits that will allow you to, you know, create these goals will ultimately push you to be.
Yeah, and even for like habits and things like that, I've been trying to do like little habits like as a morning routine.
Yeah.
Like take a bunch of vitamins, you know, even every morning just remember to take vitamins, or like the sea moss that I do, or the L-theanine that I've been taking, that amino acid that I heard. It's very hard to start a habit. But when you start it, I try to break it up into like little things. So like every day I'll take a new vitamin and add it to like my routine, because then by the time I get to the end of the month, they say 21 days to build a habit, and that's already been 30 days.
Yeah.
So I kind of like add it very gradually to my morning routine, and then by the end of the month, I'm doing 5 things as my morning routine, and it helps me so much more. So even on the fact that just building little by little a routine, you don't have to start one day and be like, I'm boom, boom, doing everything. Yeah. Do it little by little, and 5 minutes added every day will, at the end of the month, you'll have a 20-minute routine, you know, whatever, and you'll be enhancing your life that way, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's about, you know, if you do 1% better every day, it's at the end of the year 365. Right. So that's what it takes to delay gratification and see it in the end, you know, realize that if you just do 1% every day, at the end of the year, it's going to equal this, but you have to see it before you, or visualize it before you, before it actually comes to fruition in the end. So let's switch over to the first thing you have to do is a self-audit. The second thing, let's talk about leaning into those positive things, so that they create a space. The more positive they are, they will consume your life and hopefully push that 20% of negativity or the 80% of negativity out if that's the way that it is in your life. So leaning into that positivity, identifying those positive things in your life can be really important, even if they're little. So embracing your small wins, or the positive thing could be so little, you know? Like I said before, waking up every day and looking in the mirror and saying, today's going to be a great day. That is found to be so powerful, even by doctors and, you know, in the mental space. Like,
talking just to yourself makes you realize that it's already there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's already going to be, it is a great day, you know?
Yeah.
So I think touching on the positive things, kind of even like we were saying in the last podcast, you being humble or being grateful that you have the car that you have, and maybe, I don't know, get to go out on the weekend and do something that you want to do, or like family activity or going out with your friend. Like, that's a positive thing, even though it's like very small. Some people don't. Some people have to work 9 to 5 on the weekend too. So like, be grateful, humble, and, you know, that you have those things.
Yeah, I think that,
or you're able to.
It's also about being grateful for maybe some supportive relationships, and acknowledging them too. You know, that makes other people feel better. Like if you're acknowledging like, oh, we have a really cool relationship. Like, it doesn't even have to be like, you know, like a love relationship, just like a networking relationship. Like, we have a really good relationship. Like, thank you for like, you know, like being there for me. Like, give gratitude out and gratitude will come back. Like, thank you for whatever. You know, anything, even if you're just saying it to your family members, thank you for being supportive of me, whether that's in the career that I'm going through, in life, maybe even when I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
You know,
I think people don't realize, like, we need to be more grateful.
Yeah.
To get more things.
Yeah.
It's like donating money to, like, get it back. You know, when people say you give money out to get it back, it's always going to come back.
Yeah.
Dad would always say that to us. Give it out, it's going to come back to you. Like, more, tenfold, it's going to come back to you. Do that with everything. It doesn't just have to be money. Like, we can do that with
compliments.
Yeah, compliments, like anything. So, and then it'll come back tenfold, and then you'll be so grateful that you helped others while helping yourself.
Yeah, I think that you should, if you lead into every relationship that you meet somebody with a compliment, you automatically look like a great person.
Right.
Right? Like if I meet you for the first time and I'm like, wow, your eyebrows look so good. That gives somebody confidence and they automatically love you.
Yeah.
You know, like you automatically made them feel great and came off as with a great impression. So I think that when you're networking, leading with that compliment, like that's how you could start a conversation. Right? You walk up to somebody, wow, I love your sneakers. Wow, I love your whatever. Your necklace is so fire, you know? Like, I think that leading with compliments is
might
perfect.
get you more. Yeah.
Because it opens that door right away. There is no, you know, block there right away. There's no bad...
Like gate up.
There's no gate. You know, it just opens right away, no matter what.
And they're more comfortable with you. They can, you know, then they open up to you. Whatever.
Yeah, of course. And so I think that that's a little bit of how you gain positivity in your life, you know, just be grateful and more grateful.
Give it out.
You know, give it out and it will come back to you. And then in terms of negativity and shedding that and getting out of those spaces, you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so getting out of shedding the negativity. Obviously, we talked about like rearranging your room and
the environments you're in,
stepping away from people that I'm sure you probably don't want to step away from, but it might be for the better. Like, it will be for the better of you. Like, if you I know people don't want to step away from like their mom and their dad, you know?
Yeah.
But if they're really a negative person and you're not just have that in your head, oh my God, my mom's always, you know, negative, then it will benefit you if you step away from it.
Yeah, in the life audit, like seeing those those areas in your life that really drain you of energy.
Yeah, exactly. To bring it back and put it somewhere else.
Is really key in a life audit. Once you see those places that are draining you, and it is extremely hard to get rid of the things that you love and have done as a routine for years and years and years, to change those up. It is probably the hardest thing to do, even like going, away to school in a new country, not being together, being able to bounce off each other and creating that new routine. And although that's not negative, it's just
and being there.
That is so hard. Like, it's the hardest thing that, it's why people don't change.
Right.
People hate change. And ultimately, that's what's going to make you better. Like, if you're sitting in a place right now and you are hurting, just know that those pains are growing pains.
Yeah.
And I always look at it like that, because if you don't look at it as growing pains, you look at it more as like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And look at it as like, if this didn't happen to me, I would have never done such and such. I would have never have started going back to the gym. I would have never started this business that I wanted to start. So I think that having that, that switch and allowing yourself to, see that switch and be aware of it, helps ultimately, fight that negativity. Like I said, it is probably one of the hardest things to do. And you have to train yourself and rewire your brain. Like, that is a serious thing, because there's sometimes where you don't want to do that because you just don't want to.
Yeah.
But
have you ever heard of, when you're saying like people don't like change, they say like if you move out of your town or like your state, you're way more, there's a greater chance that you're going to be successful than the person that stays in your town or, builds their family where you went to high school.
Yeah.
So like I think
true.
it's very true, because even since when I moved, just different ways of life, different cultures, like having a different routine, totally different routine. Just so that is definitely, if you want to self-audit, maybe
try to take the negativity out. It's just get up and move.
Yeah, get up and move.
Get up and move to a new state. I mean, I want to do that.
It's definitely different.
It's different, and I would love
we've
to
done it
do
together.
that.
Yeah.
I also feel like there's a degree, even for us, as much as you don't want to do it, but there's a degree even for us to move away from each other.
To be better.
And to be better.
Yeah.
I feel, we don't really have any negative imposed on each other, so there's not something that we would be moving away from if you're trying to self-audit.
It would just be hard because we're in business together.
In business. So. Yeah, and, our bond, that's what sucks.
Yeah,
but I do also think that is a way, when we speak about you don't want to do something that you should do, that I feel like is, like, I would love to get up and just move to a new city.
Anywhere in particular?
I mean, not really. There's a couple, like, I would love to be in the city.
Okay.
I mean, it's still 45 minutes from here. It's still moving. It's
so
not as far,
saying
but
more of like just maybe live on your own.
Yeah, but I want to be like, I would go to Boston
or
maybe,
somewhere else. Yeah,
or in like a smaller city that's closer and not across the world. But I do think that creates a big change.
Oh,
if you need that big change and to take the negativity out of your life, essentially starting new. And not everybody has the opportunity to do that.
Of course.
So if you don't have the opportunity to do that, whether that's because, financially people can't just get up and move.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we started, 70% of people don't even have a savings account.
Right.
So if you can't do that, you do the smaller things until you can do that.
Right.
You
start your
self-audit
routine
and shrink it down to removing those people off of social media, like we said, and using that to your advantage. Keep doing the small things that will add up to the bigger things. I think essentially is the way that you can do a self-audit on a smaller scale.
Yeah, so if you're feeling down, depressed, maybe you're stuck in your career, try a self-audit and let's see how it goes.
I think that, I think there's so much to be aware of, but sometimes it could be
That we're not.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Once you dive into this self-audit. So try to tackle it one thing at a time. Don't get overwhelmed by everything's going to work out.
Right.
It's going to be okay. Regardless, there's a plan written for you. It's going to go the way it's going to go, no matter what. And I just think that, you can do manifestation to bring things closer to you that you want and to get these things. But I also think that this could be very overwhelming for people who may think that their life's a mess and they don't know how to tackle it. So I think journaling about it is a great way to see in what areas, and you can fix and not to be so overwhelmed. Tackle one at a time. Write them down and change this one day. And then once you get a feeling for that, you're starting to feel good. You're going to want to build that momentum and start rolling and changing new things and new things and new things. And ultimately that will also attract more good things into your life and take away that negativity in a life audit.
Yeah, definitely. So try self-audit. Let us know how it goes. On next week's episode, you're not going to want to miss it because we're talking about confidence. So kind of ties into the self-audit. So come back and listen next week to build confidence, and you'll see more.